She handed him an envelope with $5,000 cash and a contract that made his hands shake. 1 month. Be my boyfriend. That's all I'm asking. Her voice cracked. Please. I can't show up alone again. Alexander Michael was a single father of 2 who hadn't had a full night's sleep in 3 years. The electricity bill was 2 months overdue. His daughter needed braces. His son's shoes had holes in them. And Sophia Carter was a successful software engineer who had everything except the one thing she wanted most, to be seen as worthy of love. What started as a desperate business transaction became something neither of them expected. By day 29, everything they thought they knew about love, worth, and themselves would be shattered. This is the story of 2 broken people who saved each other in the most unexpected way. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Alexander Michael wiped down the counter at Riverside Cafe for the 3rd time that hour. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, the dead zone between lunch and dinner rush. His manager, Frank, had already hinted that hours might get cut next month. Alexander couldn't afford cut hours. He could barely afford to breathe. His phone buzzed. Another email from Maple Ridge Elementary. Overdue lunch account balance, $127.50. He closed his eyes and counted to 10. The way his therapist had taught him before his insurance ran out. The bell above the door chimed. She walked in like she was bracing for impact, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes scanning for judgment before settling on the menu board. Sophia Carter. Alexander recognized her. She came in every Tuesday and Thursday, always ordered the same thing. Medium coffee, black, and a blueberry muffin she never finished. She always sat alone in the corner booth, laptop open, building walls with her silence. The usual? Alexander asked with a professional smile. Actually, Sophia's voice was barely above a whisper. Can I talk to you for a minute? When you have time? Something in her tone made Alexander pause. Desperation recognized desperation. My break's in 5 minutes, he said. Sophia's hands trembled as she wrapped them around her coffee cup. Alexander sat across from her, exhaustion etched into every line of his 34-year-old face. I know this is going to sound insane, Sophia began. And if you say no, I'll never come back here. I'll find another coffee shop. You'll never have to see me again. Alexander's eyebrows raised. Okay, my 10-year college reunion is in 30 days. She took a shaky breath. At the 5-year, I told everyone I was dating someone. I made him up. Complete fabrication. I couldn't stand the pity in their eyes anymore. Oh, Sophia. You'll find someone's speeches from people who used to call me Sophie the Sofa in the dorms. Her voice cracked on the nickname. Alexander's jaw tightened. At the 10-year, they'll expect to meet him. Or they'll know I lied. And I can't give them that satisfaction. I can't be the punchline again. She pulled out an envelope. Inside, Alexander could see the edge of cash. Lots of it. $5,000, Sophia said, meeting his eyes for the first time. 1 month. You show up as my boyfriend at the reunion. Maybe we grab coffee a few times before, so we look convincing. You don't have to like me. You just have to pretend for one night that someone like you could choose someone like me. The words someone like you and someone like me hung in the air like accusation and surrender all at once. Alexander should have said no. Should have walked away from this beautiful, broken woman with her envelope full of money and her heart full of wounds. But he thought about Emma's teeth, growing in crooked, about little Mason's shoes with the soles flapping open, about the disconnection notice on the fridge. Why me? He asked quietly. Sophia's laugh was bitter. Because you're kind to me. Every Tuesday and Thursday for 6 months, you've been kind. You don't stare. You don't smirk when I order the muffin I can't finish because I'm too anxious to eat in public. You see me like I'm just a person. She slid the envelope across the table. Please. I know I'm asking something crazy, but I'm drowning and this is my life raft. Alexander looked at the envelope. $5,000. 2 months of rent. Emma's braces. Mason's shoes. Maybe even a security deposit on their broken-down car. He thought about his late wife, Grace, who died 3 years ago from cancer. The last thing she'd said, "Don't just survive, Alexander. Live. Teach our kids what it means to live." Was this living? Or was this just a different kind of survival? 1 month, he heard himself say. But we do this right. If anyone asks, we met here at the cafe. We tell a real story. And Sophia, he looked at her directly, you never, ever call yourself someone like me again. Deal? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Deal? Dad, who was that lady you were talking to forever? 8-year-old Emma asked as Alexander made boxed mac and cheese the 3rd time that week. A customer from work, Alexander said, which wasn't technically a lie. She looked sad. 6-year-old Mason observed with the brutal honesty of children. Her eyes were sad. Alexander's chest tightened. Asterisk. Out of the mouths of babes. Asterisk. Sometimes people have sad eyes, buddy. But that doesn't mean they're not strong. That night, after the kids were asleep, Alexander spread the cash on his kitchen table. $5,100 bills. More money than he'd seen in 3 years. He picked up his phone. Sophia had given him her number. Alexander, we should probably know basic things about each other. Coffee tomorrow? Sophia, you mean, like a real date? Alexander, like research. For the performance. Sophia, right. The performance. Tomorrow at 10? Alexander, I'll be the guy pretending to be your boyfriend. Sophia, I'll be the girl pretending that's possible. Alexander stared at that last text for a long time before responding. Alexander, Sophia, rule number 1, stop doing that. Sophia, doing what? Alexander, talking about yourself like you're unlovable. If we're selling this, you have to believe it's at least plausible. 3 minutes passed. Then, Sophia, no one's ever asked me to believe that before. They sat on a bench overlooking the water. Sophia had brought notes, actual notes, in a spiral notebook. I made a list of things you might need to know, she said, embarrassed. I'm a software engineer, obviously. I work for TechVantage Solutions. I have an apartment downtown. I like old movies, terrible reality TV, and cooking elaborate meals I eat alone. I have a brother in Portland. I haven't talked to in 2 years because he told me I'd always be alone if I didn't lose weight. Alexander's hands clenched. I'm allergic to shellfish, she continued, reading from her notes like a resume. I vote Democrat but don't really talk politics. My favorite color is teal. I don't have any pets because my building doesn't allow them, but I volunteer at the animal shelter on Saturdays. I think that's... Sophia, Alexander interrupted gently. Tell me something real. She looked up, confused. Not facts. Something real. Sophia closed her notebook slowly. Her hands shook. I haven't been touched by another human being in 4 years, she whispered. Not a hug. Not a handshake that wasn't professional. Not anything. Sometimes I forget what it feels like to matter to someone. To be someone's person. And I know that sounds pathetic. It doesn't, Alexander said. It sounds lonely. He watched emotions flicker across her face: surprise, vulnerability, the urge to retreat. My wife died 3 years ago, he said quietly. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. We had 6 months from diagnosis to the end. Emma was 5. Mason was 3. They barely remember her, and that kills me almost as much as losing her did. Sophia's eyes glistened. I work 3 jobs. The cafe, weekend catering, and overnight data entry when the kids are asleep. I haven't been on a date because I can't afford a babysitter. And also because I'm terrified. Of moving on. Of betraying Grace's memory. Of letting my kids love someone who might leave them. He turned to face her fully. So here's something real. I'm just as scared as you are. For different reasons maybe. But I get it, the lonely. The feeling like you're not enough. Sophia wiped her eyes quickly. We're quite a pair. Yeah, Alexander said with a small smile. We really are. So, Sophia said, trying to lighten the mood. What's our cover story? How did we meet? Alexander thought for a moment. The truth mostly. You came into the cafe. You were kind. I noticed. We started talking. 6 months of Tuesdays and Thursdays became something more. When did we start dating? In this fictional version? 3 months ago, Alexander said. Recent enough that we're still in that honeymoon phase, but long enough that showing up together makes sense. Sophia nodded, taking notes again. Always documenting, always preparing for the test she was afraid she'd fail. Hey, Alexander said softly. Put the notebook down for a second. She did, hesitantly. If we're going to convince your college friends that we're together, you're going to have to look at me like you actually like me. Not like I'm a problem you're solving. Sophia's cheeks flushed. I don't know how to do that. Look at me like you're actually interested. Not like you're conducting an interview. She tried. Her eyes met his, then darted away. Sophia, look at me. This time she held his gaze. And in that moment something shifted. Because when she really looked at him, not with fear or shame or transaction, she saw what she'd been missing. Kindness in those tired blue eyes. Strength in the set of his jaw. The ghost of a man who used to laugh more before life beat it out of him. There, Alexander said softly. That's the look. What look? She whispered. Like I'm worth seeing. Day 3. They met for lunch at a small Italian restaurant. Sophia wore a dress she bought 3 years ago, but never had the courage to wear. Alexander noticed immediately but didn't make a big deal of it. Just said she looked nice. Not nice for her. Just nice. They practiced their story. How Alexander had asked her out after her Tuesday coffee run. How Sophia had said yes before her brain could talk her out of it. How their first real date had been mini-golf, which Sophia won by 12 strokes. You play mini-golf? Alexander asked, surprised. Every Sunday for 10 years, Sophia said. By myself. But I'm weirdly competitive about it. Alexander laughed, really laughed for the first time in months. Day 5. Sophia showed up at the cafe with a bag of clothes. For your kids, she said quickly. I volunteer at the shelter, and they had a donation drive. I thought, if you needed, she was lying. Alexander could tell from the way the tags were still on some items, from the way everything was exactly Emma's and Mason's sizes. Sophia, he said carefully, this wasn't part of the deal. I know. But kids shouldn't have shoes with holes in them. And this isn't charity. It's friendship. Friends help each other. Friends. The word sat between them like a fragile thing. Thank you, Alexander said, his voice thick. Day 7. Alexander invited Sophia to dinner at his apartment. The kids should meet you, he said. If we're selling this, they need to be comfortable around you. Sophia almost said no. Almost ran. But she thought about those sad eyes Mason had seen. about how long it had been since someone invited her into their life, instead of tolerating her on the edges. She brought ingredients and really cooked. Homemade chicken parmesan, garlic bread, Caesar salad. Emma and Mason stared at the feast like it was Christmas morning. "You made all this?" Emma asked, eyes wide. "Your dad said you guys liked Italian food," Sophia said shyly. "Dad makes spaghetti from a jar," Mason said with devastating honesty. Alexander laughed, embarrassed. "Thanks for that, buddy." They ate together. Emma told Sophia about her favorite books. Mason showed her his collection of toy dinosaurs and explained, in exhaustive detail, the difference between a brachiosaurus and a brontosaurus. And Sophia, who'd eaten alone for years, felt something crack open in her chest. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, Alexander walked Sophia to her car. "They liked you," he said. "I liked them," Sophia replied, and the surprise in her own voice was audible. "I'm not good with kids. I always thought I wasn't, I don't know, motherly enough." "Motherly isn't a body type, Sophia. It's a heart thing." "And your heart," Alexander paused, searching for words. "Your heart is bigger than you know." Sophia drove home that night with tears streaming down her face, though she couldn't explain why. Day 10. They went dress shopping for the reunion. Sophia had tried on 17 dresses. Each one felt like a test she was failing. Too tight. Too revealing. Too obviously trying. The saleswoman's smile grew thinner with each rejected option. "Maybe we should try a different store," the woman finally said in that voice that meant. Maybe you should try a different body. Sophia's face crumbled. "Actually," Alexander said, his voice cold in a way Sophia had never heard, "we're fine here. And my girlfriend looks beautiful in everything she tries on. Maybe the problem isn't the dresses or her. Maybe it's your attitude." The saleswoman's mouth fell open. Alexander took Sophia's hand, the first time they touched beyond accidental brushes, and led her out of the store. "I'm sorry," Sophia said once they were outside, trying not to cry. "I shouldn't have." "Stop," Alexander said firmly. "Stop apologizing for existing. Stop apologizing for taking up space. That woman was a judgmental jerk, and you don't owe her or anyone else an apology for being human." "You don't understand what it's like," Sophia said, the words tumbling out. "Every store, every sidewalk, every restaurant. People look at me like I'm doing something wrong just by being visible. Like I'm a moral failing they have to witness." "You're right. I don't understand that specifically," Alexander said. "But I understand being judged. Every time I use my WIC card at the grocery store. Every parent-teacher conference where I'm the only single dad. Every time someone looks at my kids and wonders why I'm not doing better for them." He squeezed her hand. "We're all somebody's punchline, Sophia. The difference is whether we let them write our story, or whether we write our own." Sophia looked at their joined hands. His palm was calloused, rough from years of work. Hers was soft, unused to contact. "I don't know how to write my own story," she whispered. "Then maybe," Alexander said softly, "we learn together." Day 11. Something changed after the dress shop incident. They stopped calling their meetings practice and started calling them what they were. Dates. Day 13. Sophia brought coffee to Alexander at the cafe during his shift, not as a customer, as his girlfriend. The other workers noticed. Frank raised an eyebrow but said nothing. But Janet, the longtime waitress, pulled Sophia aside. "You're good for him," she said quietly. "Alexander's been running on fumes since Grace died. First time in 3 years I've seen him smile like he means it." Sophia's heart hammered. Because she wasn't good for him. This was fake, a performance. A business transaction with an expiration date. Except it was starting to feel real. Day 15. Alexander invited Sophia to Emma's school play. "You don't have to," he said quickly. "I know it's not part of the deal. But Emma asked if you were coming, and I didn't know what to say." Sophia went. Sat in the audience next to Alexander and Mason. And when Emma appeared on stage as a singing tree in the school's production of The Wizard of Oz, Sophia cheered louder than anyone. Afterward, Emma ran up to them, still in her tree costume. "Did you see me? Did I do good?" "You were perfect," Sophia said, and meant it. Emma hugged her, just launched herself at Sophia, with the unself-conscious affection of a child who decided you were safe. Sophia froze for a moment, then hugged back, her eyes meeting Alexander's over Emma's shoulder. His expression said everything. "This is getting complicated." Her expression replied, "I know." Day 17. They took the kids to the zoo. It wasn't planned. Mason had a half day at school, and Alexander had the afternoon off. And somehow Sophia ended up suggesting it. They walked through the exhibits like a real family. Emma held Sophia's hand at the butterfly pavilion. Mason demanded Alexander put him on his shoulders to see the giraffes. They ate overpriced hot dogs and took photos at the penguin habitat. "We should get a family photo," a passing tourist suggested cheerfully, holding out her hand for someone's phone. They all froze. "Oh, we're not," Sophia started. "We'd love that," Alexander interrupted, handing over his phone. They huddled together, Alexander's arm around Sophia's waist. Emma and Mason in front, grinning. The tourist counted down. "Say cheese." Click. Later, Alexander texted Sophia the photo. "Alexander, for your reunion. Proof of the family man-boyfriend." Sophia, "We look happy." Alexander, "Yeah, we do." Neither of them said what they were both thinking. We weren't acting. Day 19. Sophia cooked dinner at Alexander's apartment again. It was becoming a routine Tuesday and Thursday dinners, plus weekends when Alexander had time off. After the kids went to bed, they sat on the couch with coffee, talking about everything and nothing. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia said. "And you can tell me it's none of my business." "Shoot. Do you ever feel guilty for moving forward after Grace?" Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "Every single day," he finally said. "I feel guilty when I laugh. Guilty when I forget to be sad for a few hours. Guilty that Emma and Mason are forgetting what she looked like. Guilty that I'm still here and she's not." His voice cracked. "And then I feel guilty for feeling guilty. Because I know Grace would hate that I'm punishing myself. She made me promise to live, to find happiness again, to show our kids that love doesn't end with death." "That's beautiful," Sophia whispered. "It's torture," Alexander corrected. "Because how do you keep that promise without feeling like you're betraying her memory?" Sophia took his hand. It felt natural now. The touching. Comfortable. "Maybe," she said carefully, "betraying her memory would be giving up. Staying stuck. Maybe keeping your promise means having the courage to feel something real again, even when it's scary." Alexander looked at her, really looked at her, and Sophia saw the exact moment he realized what she did. This wasn't fake anymore. "Sophia," he said, his voice rough. "We need to talk about." His phone rang. Emma's school. She'd fallen on the playground, possible sprained wrist. The conversation was tabled, but the truth was already out there, hovering between them like a ghost. Day 20. Alexander took Emma to urgent care. Sophia met them there, even though she didn't have to. Even though it wasn't in the contract. She sat in the waiting room while they were with the doctor, and when they emerged, Emma with a wrapped wrist but no break, the little girl's face lit up. Sophia, did Dad tell you? I'm gonna have a cool bandage for 3 weeks. Very cool, Sophia agreed, kneeling down. You'll be the most stylish kid in school. Emma leaned in close, conspiratorial. Can I tell you a secret? Of course. I'm really glad you're my dad's girlfriend. He's not so sad anymore. And you make really good spaghetti. Sophia's eyes burned. I'm really glad too, sweetheart. When they got back to Alexander's apartment, after Emma and Mason were settled in bed, Alexander walked Sophia to her car again. Thank you for coming, he said. You didn't have to. I wanted to. They stood in the parking lot, neither wanting to leave. 10 more days, Alexander said quietly. Until the reunion, Sophia finished. Yeah. Silence. Alexander, Sophia started. I think we should. I know, he said. But not tonight. Tonight I just want to not think about the end. So they didn't talk about it. They just stood there. Two people who'd accidentally fallen into something real while pretending to be something fake. Day 21. The dress. Sophia finally found one that made her feel beautiful deep emerald green. Elegant but not trying too hard. When she sent Alexander a photo from the dressing room, his response was immediate. Alexander, you look stunning. Sophia, for someone like me. Alexander, for someone, period. Stop it. But the old insecurities were creeping back in. Because the reunion was 9 days away. And after that, this ended. Alexander got his money. She got her dignity. They went back to their separate lives. Except Sophia didn't want to go back. Day 22. Sophia met Alexander's mother-in-law, Patricia Grace's mother, who still babysat the kids twice a week. The meeting was accidental. Patricia showed up early to pick up Emma and Mason, and Sophia was there, making dinner. The look on Patricia's face, shock, hurt, something Sophia couldn't quite identify, made her stomach drop. You must be Sophia, Patricia said carefully. Alexander mentioned he was seeing someone. Mrs. Hammond, call me Patricia. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. It's nice to meet the woman who's replacing my daughter. The words were poison wrapped in politeness. Alexander stepped between them. Patricia, that's not fair, isn't it? Patricia's voice shook. Grace has been gone 3 years, Alexander. 3 years, and you're already playing house with someone new. Already letting the children forget their mother. That's enough, Alexander said firmly. Sophia, can you take Emma and Mason outside for a minute? Sophia fled gratefully, the kids in tow. But she could hear the argument through the window. You told me to move on. Alexander's voice. You said Grace would want me to be happy. I didn't think you'd move on to that. Patricia's cruel emphasis. Sophia's blood ran cold. Get out, Alexander said, his voice deadly quiet. And don't come back until you can treat Sophia. Treat any woman I choose to be with basic human decency. Silence. You've changed, Alexander. No. I stopped letting grief be an excuse for you to control my life. When Patricia left, Alexander found Sophia sitting on the back steps, arms wrapped around herself. I'm sorry, he said. She's not wrong, Sophia said dully. I am replacing Grace. Or pretending to. And I'm not even close to worthy of. Sophia, stop. No. Listen to me. She turned to face him, tears streaming. This was a mistake. Patricia looked at me and saw exactly what everyone will see at that reunion. The punchline. The woman so pathetic she had to pay someone to pretend to love her. That's not what I see. It doesn't matter what you see. Sophia's voice broke. In 9 days this ends. You take your money. I get my dignity, and we both go back to pretending that this, she gestured between them, was ever real. Sophia, I can't do this, Alexander. I can't keep pretending this is pretend. She stood up, grabbing her purse. I'll Venmo you the rest of the money. You don't have to come to the reunion. I'll tell them we broke up. I'll be the punchline again. At least that's honest. Sophia, wait. That she was already walking to her car. And Alexander, with 2 kids inside who'd already heard too much, couldn't follow. Sophia sat in her dark apartment, the emerald dress hanging on the back of her door like an accusation. Her phone buzzed. Alexander. She ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Finally, she looked. Alexander. I need you to listen. Really listen. Alexander. I haven't been honest with you. Alexander. The money. I took it because I needed it. Because my kids needed it. But somewhere around day 7, this stopped being about the money. Alexander, you want to know when I knew? When Emma hugged you after her play. When Mason told you about his dinosaurs for 45 minutes and you listened like it was the most fascinating thing you'd ever heard. When you showed up at urgent care, even though you didn't have to. Alexander, when I look at you, I don't see someone pretending. I see someone brave enough to ask for what she wants. Someone kind enough to help a stranger's kids. Someone who cooks elaborate meals because she has so much love to give and nowhere to put it. Alexander, Patricia was wrong. You're not replacing Grace. You're not competing with her. You're just you. And that's enough. More than enough. Alexander, but I can't make you believe that. That's something you have to choose for yourself. Alexander, so here's what I'm offering, 9 days. 9 real days. Not a contract, not a performance. Just 2 people figuring out if this thing between us is worth fighting for. Alexander, but if you can't do that, if you can't take that risk, I understand. I'll show up at your reunion as planned. I'll play the part. And then I'll walk away. Because I won't be the person who confirms your worst fears about yourself. Alexander, your choice, Sophia. But make it the choice you want, not the choice you think you deserve. Sophia read the messages 3 times. Then 4. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She called her brother. Sophia? Her brother Ethan's voice was surprised. They hadn't spoken since that terrible Christmas 2 years ago. Hey, she said, her voice small. Is everything okay? I don't know. Can I ask you something? Of course, that thing you said. About me always being alone. Did you mean it? Silence on the other end. Soph, Ethan finally said, his voice breaking. I've regretted those words every single day since I said them. I was angry. Madison had just left me, and I took it out on you. And I've been too much of a coward to call and apologize. You seemed so sure, Sophia whispered. You looked at me and saw failure. I looked at you and saw my own failure, Ethan corrected. You've always been braver than me, more successful, more generous. And I resented you for it. So I said the one thing I knew would hurt. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. I met someone, she said. Or I think I did. But I paid him to pretend to be my boyfriend, and now it's real. Except I don't know if I'm allowed to believe it's real. Why wouldn't you be allowed? Because people like me don't get endings like this. We're the best friend, the comic relief, the cautionary tale. Sophia, Ethan said firmly. Who told you that? Everyone. The world. Every mirror. No. Who told you that you get to decide your own ending? Sophia stopped. Because I'm telling you now, Ethan continued. You're brilliant, you're kind. You're the person who volunteers at animal shelters and cooks elaborate meals and builds the most incredible software I've ever seen. And if this guy sees that, if he sees you, then why the hell are you running? Because I'm scared. Being scared means it matters, Soph. It means it's worth fighting for. After they hung up, Sophia stared at her phone for a long time. Then she texted Alexander. 9 days. Real ones. Starting now. Now is 11:47 p.m., he replied. Sophia. I don't want to waste another minute. Alexander. Neither do I. They met at Riverside Cafe at dawn, before Alexander's shift started. The same place this had all begun 29 days ago. 8 days left on our 9-day extension, Alexander said with a small smile. Should we draft another contract? No more contracts, Sophia said. Just honesty. Okay, honest question. Are you ready for tomorrow? The reunion? Sophia took a breath. I'm terrified, but not for the reasons I was before. What changed? Before, I was scared they'd see through the lie. Now I'm scared they'll see the truth. Which is? That I'm in love with you, Sophia said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. That this wasn't supposed to be real, but it's the most real thing in my life. That I look at Emma and Mason and imagine a future where I get to be part of their world. Alexander kissed her. It wasn't dramatic, wasn't smooth, just a desperate, honest press of lips that said everything words couldn't. When they pulled apart, Sophia was crying. I love you too, Alexander said. And before you spiral, before you list all the reasons why that's impossible, just listen. I love the way you overcook pasta because you're too busy talking to watch the pot. I love that you know every dinosaur name because Mason cares about dinosaurs. I love that you show up. For me, for my kids, for yourself. I'm still scared, Sophia whispered. Me too. But maybe we can be scared together. What happens tomorrow? Sophia asked. At the reunion? Tomorrow you walk in with me, not as part of a contract, not as a performance, as my girlfriend, my real girlfriend. And if anyone makes you feel less than extraordinary, I'll personally be kind but firm, Sophia supplied with a watery smile. Actually, I was going to say tell them exactly where they can shove their judgment. But sure, your version works too. Sophia laughed, really laughed, and it felt like freedom. The Riverside University class of 2015 10-year reunion was exactly what Sophia had feared. A carefully curated showcase of success, beauty, and belonging. She stood outside the hotel ballroom in her emerald dress, Alexander beside her in a borrowed suit that fit surprisingly well. We can leave, Alexander said quietly, sensing her panic. Right now. We can go get burgers with the kids and pretend this never happened. Sophia wanted to say yes, wanted to run, but she thought about Ethan's words. Being scared means it matters. No, she said. I need to do this. Not for them. For me. Alexander squeezed her hand. Then let's go show them who Sophia Carter really is. They walked in together. The ballroom fell into that particular kind of silence that meant people were noticing. Heads turned. Whispers started. Sophia's old roommate, Madison Pierce Perfect Madison with her perfect life and perfect body approached first, her smile sharp as glass. Sophia, oh my God, you made it. And this must be... She looked Alexander up and down with barely concealed assessment. The mysterious boyfriend we've all been dying to meet. Alexander Michael, he said, extending his hand with polite coolness. Nice to meet you. Interesting, Madison said, ignoring his hand. When Sophia described you at the 5-year reunion, I pictured someone different. The implication was clear. Better, more impressive, not actually real. Madison, still as subtle as ever, came another voice. Trevor Chen, Sophia's lab partner from sophomore year, one of the few people who'd been genuinely kind to her, appeared with a warm smile. Sophia, you look amazing. And Alexander, Any man who can handle a room this pretentious deserves a medal. Trevor! Sophia hugged him gratefully. How have you been? Good, great, actually. Married last year. He showed his ring. To Marcus. We run a veterinary clinic downtown. Trevor, that's wonderful. As they talked, more people drifted over. Some were kind surprised to see her, but genuinely happy. Others were like Madison, all performance and judgment. And then Sophia saw her. Brittany Walsh, the ringleader, the one who'd started calling her Sophie the Sofa, the one who'd made 4 years of college a exercise in survival. Brittany approached like a predator who'd spotted prey, her entourage flanking her. Well, well, Brittany said, her voice carrying across the immediate area. Sophie the Sofa actually showed up, and with a date, no less. I'm impressed. The old nickname landed like a slap. Sophia felt herself shrinking, felt all her practiced confidence crumbling. But Alexander stepped forward. Actually, he said, his voice calm but ice cold. Her name is Sophia, and I'm not her date. I'm her boyfriend. Alexander Michael. And you are? Brittany blinked, thrown off her script. I'm Brittany. We went to school together. Did you? Alexander looked at Sophia with exaggerated confusion. Funny, Sophia's told me all about her college years, but your name never came up. She talks about Trevor, about Professor Morrison, about the animal shelter where she volunteered. But you? Nothing. Brittany's face flushed. Maybe, Alexander continued, that's because the people who matter are the ones who see us for who we are, not the ones who try to make us small so they can feel big. The silence was deafening. You know what I see when I look at Sophia? Alexander said, his voice carrying now, addressing not just Brittany but the entire watching crowd. I see a woman who builds software that helps hospitals run more efficiently, who volunteers every Saturday at an animal shelter, who cooks elaborate meals just because she loves feeding people, who shows up for others even when it costs her, who has more compassion in her little finger than most people have in their entire bodies. He looked at Brittany directly. So no, I'm not her date. I'm not her fake boyfriend. I'm the real thing. And I'm the luckiest guy in this room because she chose me. He turned back to Sophia, who had tears streaming down her face. Shall we dance? He asked, offering his hand. Sophia took it and they walked to the dance floor, leaving Brittany standing in a circle of uncomfortable silence. Alexander pulled Sophia close as they swayed to the music. You didn't have to do that, Sophia whispered. Yes, I did. Nobody talks to you like that. Not anymore. I thought I needed to prove something to them. That I was worth something. Sophia. Alexander pulled back to look at her. You don't owe them proof. You don't owe them anything. The only person you need to prove your worth to is yourself. I'm still learning how to do that. Then learn with me. We'll figure it out together. As they danced, Sophia looked around the ballroom. Some people were still staring. Others had gone back to their conversations. Madison looked furious. Brittany had disappeared. But Trevor caught her eye and gave her a thumbs up and a genuine smile. And Sophia realized. The opinions that mattered were the ones from people who actually knew her, actually saw her. The rest was just noise. Alexander? She said quietly. Yeah. Thank you. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me in. They danced 3 more songs. Then Trevor and Marcus joined them, and suddenly it was a group laughing, sharing stories, being real instead of performing. At 9:47 p.m., Sophia got a text from Emma. Emma, Dad's friend Patricia is being mean. Can you come home? Sophia showed Alexander. His face darkened. We should go, he said immediately. But the reunion is over. He gestured around the ballroom. This was never what mattered. Home matters. The kids matter. You matter. They left without saying goodbye to anyone except Trevor. On the drive back to Alexander's apartment, Sophia felt something settle in her chest. A rightness. A sense of priority that she'd never had before. This rushing home to make sure Emma and Mason were okay. This was what love looked like. Not performance, not proving. Just showing up. Patricia was sitting on the couch when they arrived. Arms crossed, face set in stone. Emma and Mason were in their rooms, suspiciously quiet. "You left your own reunion to come back here," Patricia said to Sophia, her voice dripping with disdain. "To come home," Sophia corrected gently. Emma texted that she needed help. She needed her father, not his flavor of the month. "Patricia," Alexander warned. But Sophia held up a hand. "It's okay." She turned to Patricia. "You're right. Emma needed her father. But she also reached out to me. And I want you to know I'm not trying to replace Grace. I could never replace her. She gave Alexander 2 beautiful children. She was loved. She mattered." Patricia's eyes glistened. "But Grace is gone," Sophia continued, her voice breaking. "And I'm here. And I love your son-in-law. I love Emma and Mason, not because I'm trying to erase their mother, but because they deserve to have people who show up for them, who choose them, who stay." "How do I know you'll stay?" Patricia asked, her voice cracking. "How do I know you won't break their hearts the way Grace's death broke them?" "You don't," Sophia said honestly. "Nobody knows that. Life doesn't come with guarantees. But I can promise you this. I will show up every single day. I will love them with everything I have. And I will honor Grace's memory by being someone who makes them feel safe and loved and seen." Patricia was crying now. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said before. I miss her. And watching Alexander move on feels like losing her all over again." "You'll never lose her," Sophia said softly. "She lives in Emma's laugh, in Mason's curiosity, in the way Alexander loves his children with his whole heart. She's not gone. She's just transformed." Patricia stood up slowly, walked over to Sophia, and pulled her into a hug. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "And thank you. For loving them. For showing up." After Patricia left, after Emma and Mason were reassured and back in bed, Sophia and Alexander sat on the couch in exhausted silence. "So," Alexander said, 30 days. The contract's over." "Yeah," Sophia said. "It is. What happens now?" Sophia took a breath. "I want to give you your money back." Alexander's head snapped up. "What?" "The $5,000. I want to return it. Because it can't be built on a transaction. If we're going to really do this, it has to be real. Equal. 2 people choosing each other, not one person paying the other to tolerate them." "Sophia, please, I need this. I need to know that when you wake up next to me, it's because you want to, not because you were paid to." Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "Okay," he finally said. "But on one condition." "What?" "We put that money into a savings account. For Emma's braces. For Mason's college fund. For our future. Not mine." "Not yours, ours." "Our future," Sophia repeated, testing the words. "Our future," Alexander confirmed. "If you want it." "I want it," Sophia said. "I want all of it. The messy mornings and the exhausted nights. The kids' school plays and the overdue bills. The way you make terrible spaghetti and the way I overcook pasta. The fights we'll have and the love we'll build. All of it. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. Because the hard parts mean it's real." Alexander kissed her then slow and deep and full of promise. I love you, Sophia Carter. I love you too, Alexander Michael. 6 months later, Sophia woke up in Alexander's bed. Their bed now, since she'd moved in 3 months ago to the sound of Emma and Mason arguing about whose turn it was to pick the breakfast cereal. It's Saturday, Alexander mumbled beside her, pulling her closer. Can't they argue quietly? Sophia laughed. You know they can't. She got up, pulled on one of Alexander's t-shirts, and padded to the kitchen where the kids were in full debate mode. Morning, troublemakers, she said, pouring coffee. How about we compromise? Frosted Flakes today, Cheerios tomorrow. That's not fair, Mason protested. I wanted Mason Robert Michael, Sophia said in her mom voice, the one that still surprised her when she heard it. We compromise in this house. Deal? Deal, Mason grumbled. Deal, Emma agreed, then added, Can you make your special pancakes? The chocolate chip ones? Yes. Only if you both clean your rooms after breakfast. Deal. As Sophia made pancakes, not burning them anymore. After 6 months of practice, Alexander appeared, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. You're getting good at this, he murmured against her neck. At pancakes? At being part of this family. Sophia turned in his arms. Still scary sometimes. What is? How much I love this. How much I love you. All of you. What if I mess it up? Then we'll fix it, Alexander said simply. That's what families do. They mess up and fix it and love each other through it. Emma appeared at Sophia's elbow. Sophia, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Are you going to marry my dad? Sophia nearly dropped the spatula. Alexander choked on his coffee. Emma, Alexander said. You can't just... It's okay, Sophia said, kneeling down to Emma's level. That's a big question. Why do you ask? Because Kayla's dad got married to her new mom. And now Kayla has a real mom again. And I was wondering if maybe you could be our real mom too? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. You already have a real mom. Your first mom, Grace. She'll always be your mom. I know, Emma said seriously. But can you be my second mom? Because I think 2 moms is even better than 1. Sophia looked up at Alexander, who was watching her with an expression of such love it made her chest ache. I would love that, Sophia whispered to Emma. I would love that more than anything. Emma hugged her tight, and Mason, not wanting to be left out, crashed into them both, and suddenly it was a group hug in the middle of the kitchen, while pancakes burned on the griddle. And Sophia thought, This is what I was afraid to hope for. This chaotic, beautiful, messy, perfect life. Later that afternoon, after the kids were at Patricia's house, Patricia, who now came over for Sunday dinners, and had become one of Sophia's fiercest defenders, Alexander took Sophia back to Riverside Park, the same bench where they'd sat 6 months ago, 2 broken people making a desperate deal. Sophia Carter, Alexander said, getting down on one knee. Sophia's hands flew to her mouth. 6 months ago, you offered me $5,000 to pretend to be your boyfriend. It was the worst business deal you ever made. Sophia laughed through tears. Because you're worth so much more than that. You're worth everything. And I don't want to pretend anymore. I want the real thing. The forever thing. The messy mornings and the pancake disasters and the school plays. And the fights and the makeups and every single moment in between. He pulled out a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. Will you marry me? Will you be Emma's second mom and Mason's second mom and my only wife? Will you build a life with us? The real, honest, complicated, beautiful life. Yes, Sophia sobbed. Yes, yes, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and she pulled him up and kissed him with everything she had. I can't believe this is real, she whispered against his lips. Believe it, Alexander said. This is your story, Sophia. Not the one they tried to write for you. The one you wrote for yourself. We wrote it together, Sophia corrected. Yeah, Alexander agreed, kissing her again. We did. 1 year later. Sophia Carter stood in front of a mirror in an ivory wedding dress, still not quite believing this was her life. Trevor knocked on the door. Ready, Soph? Almost. Can you believe I'm actually doing this? Honestly. Yes. Because you deserve this. You always did. There was another knock. Madison Pierce, who'd reached out 6 months ago with a genuine apology, and the request to reconnect peeked in. Sophia, you look stunning. And I just wanted to say again, I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. You deserved everything. Thank you, Sophia said, and meant it. For being here. For being honest. The music started. Sophia walked down the aisle not to prove anything to anyone, but because she was choosing this. Choosing love. Choosing family. Choosing herself. Alexander stood at the altar with Emma and Mason beside him, all 3 of them crying happy tears. When Sophia reached them, Emma whispered loudly, "You're officially going to be our mom now." The crowd laughed. "I officially can't wait," Sophia whispered back. The officiant began. "We're gathered here today to celebrate love. Real love. The kind that chooses us even when we don't think we're worth choosing. The kind that shows up. The kind that stays." Sophia looked at Alexander, at the man who'd seen her when she couldn't see herself, who'd loved her when she didn't know she was lovable. And Alexander looked at Sophia, at the woman who'd brought light back into his life, who taught his children that love doesn't run out, it multiplies. "I do," they both said when the time came. And they meant it. Sophia Carter started out believing she wasn't worthy of love, that she'd have to pay for someone to pretend she mattered. Alexander Michael started out believing he'd never have room in his heart for anyone after Grace, that sometimes the stories we tell ourselves are wrong. Sometimes the person we need to save us is the one we meet in a coffee shop on a random Tuesday. Sometimes love isn't about deserving, it's about choosing. And being chosen. Sophia and Alexander built a life together, not a perfect life, but a real one. With burned pancakes and school plays and Emma's braces and Mason's dinosaur obsession, and Sunday dinners with Patricia and late-night talks and morning coffee and all the beautiful, messy, complicated moments that make up a family. Because that's what they were now. A family. Not built on a contract or a performance, but on the bravest thing of all, the choice to love and be loved, exactly as they were. 30 days can change everything. Or maybe, just maybe 30 days can reveal what was always supposed to be. If this story touched your heart, please don't just keep scrolling. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another story like this one. People who feel invisible need to know they're seen. People who feel unworthy need to know they matter. People who are struggling need to know they're not alone. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Drop a comment and tell me what moment hit you the hardest. Was it Sophia's courage? Alexander's speech at the reunion? The moment Emma asked Sophia to be her second mom? Your support helps us tell more stories that matter. Stories about real struggles, real sacrifices, real love. Stories that remind us we're all worthy of being chosen. Thank you for being part of the Behind Every Heart Stories family. Remember, you are seen. You matter. You are worthy of love. See you in the next one.